Wow. I was not prepared for that. Literally, I wake up in the morning, I'm feeling terrible, getting ready for another pretty bad day at work, and then I check my notification, and then I see it's from Team Reptile. Hyperfunk is real. So, Hyperfunk, a brand new game by Team Reptile. Look inside the teaser. It's BRC2. Well, it's not BRC2 in terms of, the story universe, but it's BRC2 in terms of the gameplay and stuff. We'll get into that. I just want to say we are so back. Like, I'm still in disbelief at what I just saw. And I just think it's kind of funny. I've had people ask me, who do I think a BRC successor would be like if Team Reptile made one? And I've always answered, I don't think they'd make another one similar to BRC. Maybe they'd want to move on from it. This is one of those cases where I'm glad I was wrong. You guys are believers. Like, you guys had a lot of faith, and you were right to have faith that they would do another BRC-like game. Because here we are now. It's basically BRC2. Like, really. You were right to have faith, and I'm happy to be wrong. But let's actually talk about what we saw in the teaser trailer, because there's quite a bit. So, first few seconds, we get shots of our brand new area, which we know is Amsterdam. It's not New Amsterdam like it is in Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. It's just Amsterdam. Now, I know this isn't a sequel or prequel, but it is still taking place in Amsterdam. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's gonna be some overlapping in some certain areas, I wouldn't be surprised, wouldn't hurt to like reuse some assets and repurpose them. I'm glad they kept the similar art style intact because I always really liked how BRC looks. So Hyperfunk in terms of aesthetics is already an A+ for me. Then we get our first look at our protagonists, and there's 4 of them. Their crew name is called Mach 10, so that's cool. We'll probably learn their names soon, but so far I think they kind of look neat. The character up front, they have like robot legs, which that's already very striking, like with Red and his cyber head and stuff. So I really want to know what's the deal with their robo legs, because that's really cool. And then the part that actually got me so hyped, when the characters started moving. Do you see how fast they move in this game? Like, it's already faster than vanilla BRC. It's almost reminiscent of the Movement Plus mod for BRC. It wouldn't be surprising if Team Reptile probably took some cues from the modding community to implement for Hyperfunk. This was something I had a bit of a complaint about with BRC Vanilla, was that I wished it was a faster game, but now with Hyperfunk, it's looking like that speed I've desired for vanilla BRC, and there's actually a mechanic that's tied to the speed, which we'll get into later. Another reason why I love this change in speed is because it's actually going to make parkour feel viable, which I thought was a big misstep for vanilla BRC. Parkour just didn't feel important, especially considering Team Reptile took out the soap shoes in the vanilla game, and then all you can really do is slide. You can do tricks on the ground, which kills all your momentum, and then you can run on the billboards, but that was pretty much the extent of parkour in that game, and it was very boring. Hyperfunk is already taking the right step in improving upon BRC, so that's great. Another cool thing to note here, when this character over here does an acid drop, I think that's what it's called, my skating terminology isn't the best, but I think it's an acid drop, and then as they're doing a manual, they're actually doing it backwards. Now, this is something that was not possible in BRC at all, and it's almost reminiscent of skating backwards in Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. So that's going to be cool if they're bringing that mechanic back. You are now able to boost alongside walls and up to the ceiling, which that is cool. That is actually really cool. I'm actually really glad that they added that. Now, this section of the trailer here I thought was just an effect that was made for the trailer, but no, this is actually part of the gameplay, and it's a callback to Lethal League and Lethal League Blaze, where if you reach the max speed with the ball, the entire screen will turn negative. So I assume when you reach whatever the max speed is in Hyperfunk, it's gonna have the same effect. That's pretty cool. I haven't really played Lethal League, so I didn't know that was the thing. It was thanks to Undad that I got this information, so shout outs to him, of course. And the last important thing to note from the trailer is we did get a tease of what may be either a rival gang or the police equivalent for this game. We don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume that this is going to be the police equivalent for this game, which they look very sleek, almost like the Golden Rhinos from Jet Set Radio. So I think they look pretty neat. I know it's that they're all the same model, but I'm sure maybe they're going to be different when we get the full game. Who knows? So yeah, pretty cool teaser. Got me pretty hyped, but that's not the end of it. There's actually the Steam page, which has a bit more information about this game. This is what the Steam About This Game page has to say about the game. Hyperfunk is an extreme trick and graffiti game from a bright future. Society is shaped by the effects of the hyper, the online space, as various graffiti crews compete in reality with styles and ideology of how to interpret this new world. Use your skates, skateboard, or BMX to do tricks that fuel your personal boost pack. The higher your combo score, the faster you can boost, up to ridiculous speeds. So this is already a huge change from BRC. The higher your combo score is, the faster you can actually boost. So now actually having higher combos has more of a worth in Hyperfunk in comparison, and that's really cool. And then of course we have a bit of lore stuff. The Hyper is an online space, so it makes me wonder, are these characters that get sucked into a virtual reality? Not really sure. I'm definitely going to be interested to see where the story goes, but let's continue on. Dynamic style wars. Crews can take over areas and compete with others on their own. Challenge other crews to a graffiti battle, which wasn't a thing in BRC, so I'm glad they're actually adding it here, where you will compete in real time on who can bomb the streets best, escape police, and claim the area. You know, standard affair for these extreme skating games. Strategically use 4 different types of graffiti to go over opponents: tags, throwies, pieces, and blockbusters. I'm interested to see what these different graffiti types are going to be. Move freely around the city to grow your crew, find music tracks, and unlock the other move styles. So pretty similar to BRC in that regard. But here is the big thing here. Meet random online players in the Hyper, or hang out online with your friends in the streets. Yes, not only will this game have single player, but it will also have online PvP and online co-op. This is massive. If you know anything about BRC, you know that one of the biggest mods right now is the All City Network mod, which is the huge multiplayer mod for BRC, which was following after the old multiplayer mod, which was Slop Crew. And this is where most of the BRC community hangs out. So the fact that Hyperfunk is going to come in with online multiplayer is huge, especially when one of the most fun aspects about BRC modding is just hanging out and all the options that All City Network actually is able to provide as a multiplayer mod. So the fact that we're now going to get it in an official capacity has me really excited. I can't wait to see what they'll do with this. So yeah, Hyperfunk. I'm pretty excited about the game. I actually can't wait to see more of it, and I hope we can get a release date on it soon. But it did get me thinking about something in the back of my mind. Now, I don't want to make this about Jet Set Radio, but isn't it crazy that we're about to get another Bomb Rush Cyberfunk game and we still haven't gotten anything new for the new Jet Set Radio game? Like, that's crazy, right? BRC is now 2 years old, so you can kind of give the new Jet Set Radio a pass. It's like, okay, BRC was able to capture that old missing feeling of Jet Set Radio that Sega left, and whatever we get for Jet Set Radio 3 is going to be a completely new experience, right? But now there may be a chance that Hyperfunk will be releasing around the same time as the new Jet Set Radio. We're not sure, but it is a likely possibility. I made a dedicated video talking about how BRC's success may overshadow the new Jet Set Radio, because for as long as we went without anything Jet Set Radio related, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk was able to fill that void that was left, right? And then we get an announcement of a new Jet Set Radio, and it's really cool and it's really exciting, but then we don't really hear much more about it for it's about to be almost 2 years now. And now we're about to get a successor to Bomb Rush Cyberfunk that will potentially coincide with the new Jet Set Radio and potentially overshadow it again. Now, I must keep in mind that whatever they do for Jet Set Radio 3 is going to be completely different from what they're doing with Hyperfunk, and I'm okay with that personally. But for those who felt scarred by Sega and are disappointed that we're just not getting anything, especially on the year of its 25th anniversary, Hyperfunk is going to come in and fill that void again that Bomb Rush Cyberfunk did. So some people are gonna feel, what will Jet Set Radio 3 actually offer? Because Hyperfunk seems to be the game that I desire, right? You know what I mean? While I'm slightly disappointed that we really haven't gotten any sort of game news during the 25th anniversary, I'm patient. I'm not like too butthurt about it, but I think now that Hyperfunk coming pretty soon, it just makes me wonder, Sega, how long are you gonna keep silent about it, you know? Because you guys actually have a bit of competition here, you know? I do apologize for making this about Jet Set Radio, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who shares a similar feeling, right? Again, I apologize. I got all that feeling out. Hyperfunk, I'm excited. I can't wait to play it. Support Bomb Rush Cyberfunk while you're at it, so we could all be hyped for Hyperfunk. Okay, bye.